Matt Lenihan, Boxing Social, in association with William Hill, Empire Fights. Always delighted to be joined by Gareth A Davies. Gareth, we're here for Joe Joyce, Big Bang Zhang. What a fight for the heavyweight division. In a division where fights that we want to see get made, maybe it's not happening. This is a cracker, isn't it?
It is. You know what these guys are going to provide, which is action. They're both going to let their hands go. We know how they both fight. Neither man is cagey as a fighter. Anyone that saw Big Bang Zhang's performance against Flip Hrgovic last August on the undercard of Usyk and Joshua will know that, you know, at 39, he's been around a long time, and you could almost say he's still undefeated, even though he lost that fight on points to Flip. So he's, as an amateur, he was just that little glitch below elite level, but he's been there and done it all. Joe's got to be on his mettle on Saturday night. I do favour him to break Zhang down eventually. Joe's 37 now, I think. But he's going to have to break him down and get a stoppage late in the fight, in my view, or he'll win it on points.
I think the general consensus is that for the first 6 rounds, this could be an absolute war, depending on how long it goes. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and remember, Zhang's travelled a long way over here, and what an opportunity for him, though, because Joe's stock is soaring, isn't it, basically? And he's been talked about in massive fights. The great thing about Joe Joyce is that he never says no to anyone. He wants to fight everyone, no time to waste. And again, this has created a great spectacle in April. Obviously, we had the big Joshua Franklin fight. Some people were disappointed with it. It was still a great occasion. It always is when Anthony Joshua fights, because there's so much to ruminate around with him, and now he's not going to fight till December. There's no way Joe Joyce, if he wins on Saturday night, is not going to fight till December.
What do you make of that from Anthony Joshua? I was going to come on to it. He was originally saying after the press conference he was adamant, want to be back out another couple of times. Now it's all the way December. Rumours of a Saudi fight with Wilder and providing Usyk and Fury get through the next fights and potentially winners facing each other. What have you heard, and what do you think about him fighting in December? It must be for a big fight if he's waiting that long, surely.
Yeah, and I think he probably wants to do extra time with Derek James. I think they're either deciding, Hearn and DAZN, to elongate his career. That was the first really veritable fight on DAZN. But there are other rumours, of course, that there could be a big 4-man tournament in the Middle East with who is it? Usyk and Fury and Wilder and Joshua. If that's true, I think they are very much rumours at the moment. It's a different rumour every week, isn't it? I haven't heard anything concrete myself, but if it did come off, what are you talking? $300 million that tournament's worth. The 2 winners meeting each other for the undisputed title as well. Maybe that represents the reason why Joshua's waiting out. I'm not so sure. I think it's because they want to elongate his career and he wants more time to work with Derek James.
If he does wait till December and say the opponent isn't Deontay Wilder, isn't a Joe Joyce, and it's a Dillian White, what would your opinion be of that? And would you think that it's the right thing to do for his career at this point, or do you think now's the time really, with these big fights around, that we shouldn't look at trying to make them with your Deontays and things like that?
I think it's time for him to have a big fight. We all expected him to blow Jermaine Franklin away, and he was always going to get criticised for a 12 rounds points decision. I think he should try and fight Fury. That's what the old school nous on boxing would tell you. But they're trying to carve a route for him, and if it's Dillian White in December, then we can't do anything about that. But there's a risk at the moment, based on that performance, that he could lose to the leading heavyweights. And the big money fight for him is Tyson Fury. It's the biggest money fight out there. And you can't rule out an opportunity for him against Fury if he goes in there and throws punches in bunches and actually believes in himself against Tyson Fury. I think he does believe in himself, but there were physical signs in that fight against Franklin that he's not on a building process again. He is what he is now, and he wants to try and box other fighters. I think there were opportunities for him to get Franklin out of there. Franklin was a difficult opponent in some ways. Always thought it was going to be. Made himself a small target. But the old Anthony Joshua, 2015 to 2018, would have put him away, in my view.
We heard Anthony Joshua mention Joe Joyce. I spoke to Shane Watson and asked about that. And he says Anthony Joshua's never had any real intention of fighting Joe Joyce. He can say it basically all he wants. If Joe Joyce was to go in there with Anthony Joshua now, how big a risk would that be? Obviously for both men, but for Joshua at this stage of his career when there's potentially them other fights on offer.
Well, Wilder and Fury are worth a lot more money.
Yeah.
And he's stated it himself, he's a money fighter right now. And obviously, if he fights Wilder, there's no world title on the line. But if he fights Fury, there's a world title on the line. Against Joyce, it's not as big a money fight. I think it's still a stadium fight. But it's a risky fight for him right now, given the momentum Joe Joyce has got. But let's see what he does on Saturday night first.
Daniel Dubois potentially could be going up against Alexander Usyk. We believe Daniel's next in line and negotiations are in the background happening. Where do you see that for Daniel? Obviously, a big heavyweight, a lot of power. He could change the course of his career now with the victory over Alexander Usyk and put himself in the mix with everyone after what he's been through. What do you think of that?
Well, it's a massive opportunity for him, and he's got to take that opportunity with both hands. He's got to be fast, aggressive, put Usyk under pressure. Because if he lets Usyk settle, he's going to be under a lot of pressure in that fight.
And last one from me, because we're just getting the hallway cleared. I believe Manny Pacquiao, Sean Gibbons has put out that he's accepted a Conor Benn fight. What do you make of this? We're still up in the air with it?
Well, my opinion is still that Conor Benn should have done a hearing with the Boxing Board of Control and UKAD, or with UKAD, their independent panel. But if they've made the fight and they're licensed there, then it's going to be a big event. I think Pacquiao is very old now. Was he 45? He's retired already. It's a good fight for Conor Benn in terms of the name, if it does happen. It'll be very controversial because of the situation that has happened. And, if that is the case, then I'm sure we'll hear the truth about whether it's signed or not in the next 48 hours.
And lastly from me, I know you've spoke about it a bit in depth before, but I just want to get your opinion. You and Conor, obviously, you had that meet up, you flicked the microphone off. I think that was more of a thing at TalkSport rather than you, but what did you make of that sort of coming together? Did he vent anger at you specifically, or was it a case of, look, I'm sick of it kind of thing? What was that like?
I thought it was at the TalkSport microphone when I first went over to him. We had a few words afterwards. He spoke to me mainly, and off camera, and said that he was very disappointed. He thought we were friends, but all I've done the whole way along is my job. That's all I've been doing. I have stated every time that he is proclaiming his innocence, that he's not a drugs cheat. I don't believe he is a drugs cheat. He's just had clomiphene in his body twice, and he has to explain that, and that's the way it is. For whatever reason, it found its way into his body.
Hopefully we get some clarity on that. I believe this press conference is about to start, Gareth, so thank you for your time. Thanks for talking to Boxing Social. Catch up again soon.
Always welcome. Cheers.